Hi, lovely and darling viewers. It's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm doing my top 10 reads of 2017. This is a top 5 Wednesday topic for either this week or last week. I don't remember which, but I decided that picking 5 was too hard for me, so these are my top 10 reads from this year. To make this list, they had to have been books that I read in 2017. They didn't have to be new releases, but I did exclude anything that I had read before. So these are books that I read for the first time in 2017. Because I read these all in 2017, they also all have a booktube reviews already, so I will post the link to the full reviews of all of these in the description below, and as always, the complete list of books that I'm talking about is in the description below if you want to check that out. So the first book on my list is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This is the only book on this list that I gave a 4-star rating. But it's on here because when I read the top 5 Wednesday topic, this book immediately came to mind. Like, yeah, Turtles All the Way Down, that is definitely one of my favorite reads of this year. So Turtles All the Way Down is about a girl named Aja who has OCD. It does a really good job of describing what it feels like to have OCD, which I loved about it. And it's also got a bit of a mystery to it as Aja and her best friend Daisy start investigating the disappearance of a billionaire, a really rich guy. And Aja happens to know the guy's son, so loving that story. The next book on my list is Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This is a Cinderella retelling, in case you can't tell, but it follows 2 geeks as the leads. So the Cinderella character, Elle, she works at this Magic Pumpkin, which is this vegan pumpkin food truck that travels around. And she has the evil step-siblings and mom and stuff, you know. And the prince in the story is Darian, and he plays a prince on this geeky sci-fi show. Well, actually, they're rebooting it to make a movie. And I really loved the show and how much it references Star Trek, because I love that. Also, I loved how geeky they are and the Cinderella story. I actually got this one out of the library and then had to go buy it because it was just so amazing. And then immediately started rereading it. So trust me, this one is awesome and amazing and feels fantastic. I love it. The next book on my list is Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. This is a collection of feminist essays. So it's nonfiction and it just explores all kinds of views on feminism. So some of these essays are about pop culture and the way that women are treated and portrayed in the media. Some of it is about race and the importance of racial equality also, and it's just really all of Roxane Gay's personal opinions. This one took me several months to read, which is why it's so low on the list, but I also really loved it. This is another one that I got at the library originally and then had to go buy because it's just so amazing. So highly recommend. Next on my list is actually 2 books. It's Meccanica and Ventris by Betsy Cornwell. This is, I think it's a duology. I don't think there's another book coming. So this is a steampunk Cinderella retelling. It has fairies and lots of fairy magic. So basically, the girl in this one, Meccanica, is sort of a mechanic. She builds little robots and mechanical animals, and there's a bit of magic involved, and they come to life, and it's awesome. Ventris is its sequel, and in that one, it's less following the Cinderella story, but taking the same characters and pushing them beyond, and she gets to go to the land of the fairies, which I loved. Both of these books are awesome. They both got 5 stars from me. So next on my list is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. And this one is about an African-American girl, and she lives in this poor Black neighborhood that her family is invested in trying to make better and make into a better, stronger community. But she goes to school in this rich, white private school. And the story really follows Star as she's struggling with the fact that her best friend Khalil is murdered by a cop right in front of her while her best friend was unarmed and was just getting stopped for a routine traffic violation. Like, there's no reason why her friend should have died, and struggling with that and what it does to her personally, but also the wider community, both within the Black community and within the school that she goes to. Really poignant. It's also really sweet and funny. Like, I love Star and her family. The next book on my list is Hidden Figures by Margot Lee Shetterly, and this one follows 3 African-American mathematicians in NASA during the 40s through like the 80s. So there are these 3 women. They all work in the West Computing Group at NASA Langley in Virginia. So in the South, when there's definitely segregation and racism, but at the same time, they have such a strong need for female computers to do the actual computations for the NASA projects that they have to hire African Americans also. And so these three women have this amazing story. One of them is like the first African American female supervisor who works at NASA. Another one is Katherine Johnson, who did computations on the Apollo missions. And then the third one, Mary Jackson, she is an engineer. She's one of the first female African American engineers to work at NASA. And this is a true story. And it's really sweet and poignant. And I loved it. It balances not only the work at NASA, but also their personal lives and what's going on outside of NASA, like what's going on in the bigger picture with the civil rights movement and segregation in the South. Then I have Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I have been putting this one off, and when I finally did read it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So this one follows Wade Watt. The outside world's pretty much a dystopian where everything is awful and everybody's poor and they're jammed into these houses. And so their only escape to get away from how bad life really is to go into this virtual reality world called the Oasis. It's basically the entire internet, anything that ever existed, exists in the Oasis, and you can reach out and touch it and actually move through it because it's VR and it's amazing. And the plot of the story follows Wade as he tries to find this Easter egg that the creator James Halliday has left upon his death. And the first person to find this egg and go through his game and find all his clues wins the entire Oasis. Like, they gain Halliday's entire fortune and control of the Oasis. There is also an evil corporation trying to win the game so that they can profit off the Oasis and turn it into this big marketing thing that would not be good for normal people. Next on my list is Binti and its sequel, Binti Home by Nadine Okafor. These are two novellas, so another one where I picked two books in the same series. This follows Binti, who is from this African tribe, the Himbas, and it's cool to see what it's like to actually live in Africa, but it also exists in the sci-fi world in the future, and Binti gets accepted into this college off-world, and she's the first one from her tribe ever to do it, and one of the few humans to go to this intergalactic school. So she's excited to go study mathematics there. There's also this alien race called the Medus that is at war with the humans, and Binti encounters them and uses her own special abilities to stop them from killing her. It is really cool. And the second book, Binti Home, is her coming back to Africa to her family after having been away at college. Oh, and by the way, she actually didn't get permission to go to college. She just kind of snuck out and ran away. So interesting seeing her go home as well. The next book on my list is The Martian by Andy Weir. This one follows astronaut Mark Watney as he's left on Mars. So there is a solar storm, windstorm, sandstorm, whatever. There's a storm on Mars, and the crew has to evacuate Mars so that they don't all die and get stranded. And Mark gets hit, and it manages to mess up his bio readings. So the rest of the crew thinks that he has died, so they leave him. But actually, Mark's alive, and he has to survive on Mars on his own, just using his knowledge of biology and mechanical engineering and everything that NASA's taught him. Is really actually a funny book, and it's really charming. Like, it's really inspiring to see everything that Mark goes through. Half of this book is like, oh crap, what just happened? No! And the other half of this book is like, yes, he solved it. We survived another task. We're going to get Mark home. It's going to be awesome. So most of the book follows Mark. Part of it also follows the work that is happening on Earth with NASA and with the rest of his crew and how they are also dealing with it. This book is snarky and sarcastic. I love Mark Watney's humor in this. And my favorite read of this year is Wires and Nerve by Marissa Meyer. It is a graphic novel. It has art by Doug Holgate. Ta-da! So this is a sequel to The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, which I super love, in case you guys can't tell by the fact that I have them all. I adore this series so much. This one kind of deviates from the whole fairy tale theme that the rest of the series had, and it follows Aiko as she is going around Earth fighting these wolf hybrids. And it is amazing. Aiko, in case you guys don't know this series, is an android who wants to be human, and she finally has a human body, and it's amazing. So this graphic novel will spoil the rest of the series, so if you haven't read them yet, go go read the series. It's amazing. The book one is Cinder. And it's a graphic novel, so it's kind of a short read. I love the art in it. And I've already read this like 4 times this year. At least. It's amazing. So awesome. I am so excited for Volume 2 coming out. I love it. So guys, those were my top 10 favorite reads of 2017. Let me know in the comments below. What are your favorite books that you read this year? Either new releases or things that you just happened to read this year. The complete list of all these books is in the description below, as is the links to all of their book reviews, because I did do these all because they were amazing. So, peace out. I love you guys. Keep reading, and Happy New Year. Bye!